Welcome to Behind the Keys. My name is Pietro Catalano, and we are here at CAAA in Lucerne, beautiful country in Switzerland. And today we have a special guest from, I'm very honored, first of all, a special guest from the Best Chef Award, the owner, and from Joanna and Cristian. Thank you so much that you come here, and I feel really special that you are with me here. And, today I was thinking, you are probably a couple who visit so many restaurants than a chef could make. And I was wondering how you feel when you travel so much, how you can all this emotion take with you. I can imagine that that is really busy all the time, and and when you start this journey with Behind the Keys or the Best Chef, what was the exact moment when you realize, okay, we need to start create a format of the Best Chef? When was this moment?
So, first of all, thank you for inviting us, Pietro. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So I think that I will hand over the micro to Cristian regarding how everything has started, because he was the man behind. He's the man behind the whole idea. So I think over to you.
I am totally agree with Joanna. Not at all.
Not at all.
But the idea was yours. Let's admit it.
Behind the knives, no behind
the keys behind the knives. Yeah.
Behind the knives. We need to look to the future. I am joking, of course. The idea of the Best Chef, it was first because of my dream to be one of the best chef in the world. Mm-hmm. It was my dream, but of course the life sometimes say, no, you can't do it, because I started maybe a little too late with this dream. When I went inside the kitchen, I need to work with very nice guy eating here all night, but it was a lot of power. There was really a lot of motivation. Maybe if I was eating here so inside the kitchen, it will be different, no? That's why, okay, we go out. I say to Joanna, look, are so many organizations that are managing like guide or list just to the restaurant, only to the restaurant. They sit on the table eating, and are like judici.
The judge.
Yeah.
Judge. No, it was for me, okay, but why? Only thing. I want to bring the cameras, the attention to the kitchen. No, what's up in the kitchen? Who is the chef? No, because 30 years ago, the chef was always inside the kitchen.
Yeah.
Never out. No, it was really a job, profession, not really recognized as important it is, because the chefs are really important as a professional profile to regenerate also the economy around you, the local economy, no? We start, okay, Joanna, let us do this international guide list. You said global.
My first reaction, as you can imagine, was shock.
First reaction was shock.
This exactly. First reaction, shock. I was like, you're crazy. How do you want to do
global, no national?
So my background is totally different. I was not into gastronomy at all, and I was like, Cristian, how do you want to do it? Like, how? What? Where?
See, yeah. And we started to say, okay, I go to Warsaw to see the location for the event. Sure.
Okay. I was like, okay, I have to control this guy, because otherwise he will create a lot of mess. So let me control him, and then we will see how everything develops. And this is how I entered as well, the whole idea, I would say, to more, control what Cristian wants to do. Exactly.
See. I think this was missed. Really good intuition, because we made at the end in Warsaw 2017 the first 25 of October.
Yeah, 25th
See?
of October.
The only date what I remember.
2017 was the first event.
And we started
live
in Warsaw.
Yeah.
Was nice event. Of course, it was small
Yeah.
than today. It was like 150 people.
Okay.
more or less,
150 people. And the winner was Joan Rocca, no? Joan Rocca. But we don't tell to anyone is coming Joan Rocca to Poland, no?
Yeah.
Because we want the surprise.
Of course.
The surprise. And remember, when we opened the door con Joan Rocca, silence.
Yeah, everyone was like super
It
impressed.
is
that
why
he
you
came
don't
as well.
tell to the country, to the nation, is Joan Rocca coming to... No. I said, no, we want the surprise. Okay, just from this moment, that's sure we need a lot to learn, because, you know, but of course, this was surprise, but a lot of impact. Immediately in Europe, especially in Europe, in Italy, in Spain, in French, because we had immediately a lot of response from the press. We were totally in panic.
As well.
Totally in panic.
Can
Because
imagine.
we was, okay, our vision, we were always pretty sure the project will be fine. Yes, where we are today, we had the vision.
Yes.
10 years ago.
Yes.
Really, what we were. But if you come to realize it, no, it's different. And we said the articles, I don't know, Corriere della Sera, cioè, I said, wow, what we are doing.
And I think you realize now how crazy it was before.
Yes.
Because
I think right now,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Because it was so crazy that at that time,
Yeah.
we were not even aware that it's so crazy. Because it was like, okay, it's our kind of dream, it's our goal to do such thing. And we did not, I think properly about all the, I don't know, the strategy that we should use the strategy, etc., etc. It was kind of intuitive.
Yes.
Yeah. But right now, I think that we are realizing more and more that
More
it was,
intense.
it was crazy. From one point, from the other point, it was kind of exactly right, as Cristian said, it was a right moment, right, maybe exactly his idea was somehow finding the gap in the market of all the guides, lists and everything. So, yeah.
Same we have here. Some awards we cannot realize now because time is moving so fast. And we think, wow. Yeah, at the moment, super happy. But, you know, the next day it's reality again and again and again. But when we thinking back, for us as well, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just how it is when you start and they put all your effort in a project and you only one who believes, you know.
Yeah.
It is to show you how important it is to trust your dream, but the most important thing is the maintenance.
Yes.
The maintenance.
Yes.
The maintenance can explode on top of your dream. No, you need this like. No, but I don't want to use bomb in this time. I need to find some. But the maintenance make it possible if you are a little bit crazy.
True.
Without maintenance.
Yeah. And stick to your vision.
Madness.
I mean, it's so important. Yes, you need to adapt a little bit left and right, but in the end, the vision it needs to be very clear.
Maintenance, and you are not to adapt the maintenance. That is the most challenging things.
I'm always in copy of the emails.
Because I will.
For all details, contact Joanna. She will do the logistic. So
I wake up.
I'm more pragmatic person.
I had vision. No, please, no vision. Please.
No visions today.
No,
I don't
no
want any
vision.
visions anymore. Yeah.
But it's amazing. Now it's so many years, and I feel like you guys are like family. As I can feel as a chef how the community it is it's truly like, I can say like an Italian family. Yes, as I'm half Italian, I feel this, you know. It's also on, even I say just on social media and so on, all this support, and then you guys are so, I would say, you have no barriers, you know. You are so authentic, yeah. And I'm super happy that you came here. That I just wrote the idea of Behind the Keys to show people what is behind, what is not only the success. Yeah, you see, or the most people, I say, just see the success, but behind is crazy work.
Success is relative.
Yeah.
Success is can be 1 minute, 1 year, 3 years. Okay, success disappear. Beyond the success, you need substance. You need idea.
Basis.
You need your team, your family. You know, for every day. You can be on the top for always, but you can be one example for the next generation, which is going to the top. This is to be the best, not to celebrate yourself.
Yes.
But give the example for the next best. I think this is to be really the best. I can say you some name, in our case, like Joan Rocca, no? Joan Rocca won the 25th edition of the Best Chef Awards. It's always with us. It's no matter if you are 5. Of course, we are talking about a seller that can rock. We are the best chef. We are very humble. You are a seller. You made a story. No, thanks to Joan, who trusted us in the past. No, we are here. No, and I think it's one of the best examples for the next generation to be like Joan Rocca, seller that can always humble, but it's based on family
Solid,
business.
And
Family
solid
business.
basis.
Yes.
Because the mother of Juan is the grandmother of a seller de Can Roca team. The guys are going to the mother restaurant to eat the meat, the team
Fantastic.
staff meal.
Yeah, I think there is the most misunderstanding. Yeah, what means the best? You know, not yourself. It's more.
To be the best, bravo. It's not to be you the best, but
Not to
to
be,
make the other the
make
best.
the other
best.
best.
Yeah.
And
To be the best example.
yeah, exactly. And how you create a place, I think many young people want to create something their own, but how? There, it's the conflict. They want to be part, and they're chasing to be part, and there is the thing: how I become part of the best chef. This is a question which young chefs thinking, how I can be part of the chef.
Well, this is the question what we receive from at least 2-3 every days.
Wow.
At least.
Wow.
How to become the
We
best
become
chef.
from a young chef. And the answer is almost the same. No, we said, okay, why you want to be the best? Okay, we appreciate your dream to be in our community. Of course, you don't. It's not necessary to be in the guide to be the best chef. No, we are open to everybody. For if one comes, your comes, send to us the email. I can enter the best chef. Of course, we give you the accreditation. No, this is very important. But to be the best, if you start to think about awards, stars, nice, first place position, you are totally wrong. You are totally wrong. You need to understand the business is different. The awards, the stars are consequence of years, sometimes years of work, hard work. This is the most beautiful thing, to be focused on your street, on your people. No, when the guests come, it's very populist. But it's true. This is your base. No, if your guests are happy, if your business is stable, solid, if you have your I don't know, commis, back to the commis or sous chef with to babies at home, this is what you need to think every day when you wake up.
Yeah.
No, the after, you see, the best chef never was personally me and Joanna, but you never. You are already 2 years, no? Because it's a consequence.
Yeah.
Or your solidity, or your vision is stable, no? Because if you think about the hours, the stars, you are working only for it. Okay, you can get it because are so many dynamics. If you want, you can take it, but you will disappear.
Yeah, you have no identity.
No.
No. This you never will mark the place where you was or are. Also, when for us was very important to create this place when to make everything needs to make sense. That I can tell a story from my heart, from my authenticity place which we came, and a best example is the bar, the mixology bar which we have behind, and we never was into the bar. We just discovered in Moscow a really nice place with Andrei, and and when we create this space, I think, okay, yeah, we need to have drinks, we need to have, especially in this level, and I've thought about why we not combine, why we should go the traditional menu with wine, or why we cannot combine, why we cannot make also non-alcoholic pairing, including with the bread ceremony and so on. And then I call him and say, listen, I need your help. I also there starts, to ask people who are super professional and say, listen, I have a project, I want to build my vision. And then we create this bar, but always we think always together. So bar works with us and we work with bar. So I learn a lot. I learn so many about the bar, but not also in technique, also in community. Yeah. I think they think different. So cool.
See, because the technique is, especially in this time where everything is so fast, in one day can change everything. Technique can change also in 1 minute, in 1 month, But the sense of community to connect all together and give the experience, to make the experience harmonic. This is the most challenging things, The technique change, but the philosophy, when you open a restaurant, the young chef to say to me, I want to open a restaurant. But why?
Yeah, why? Yes.
Why?
Yes. You need to have
a clear
why? Idea.
Yes, because I want very fast as it, because I want from my fisherman friends bring the fish in my restaurant and cook it in a very healthy way, innovative way. Okay, very nice, do it. But if you don't know what is your mission in gastronomy,
exactly,
don't do it. Will be just a damage for you, because gastronomy is a very hard business, very hard, and you work every day with different peoples. And you are feeding the people. This makes the difference. This makes the difference. Every day is different than the day before. That's why gastronomy is not easy. And also the people which are working in restaurant are not coming from Oxford or Cambridge.
True.
You need to be like mental coach.
You need to understand. You need to have this sense of...
And the same is with guests. Okay, the guests come here. When you go to one restaurant, what do you want from a restaurant? You are hungry? There are so many good restaurants.
True.
I can say you 100, super top. The grandmother cooking lasagna, tortellini. Because I am Italian, I make this example. But if you want the experience, before you need to know why are you going to this restaurant.
True. That's kind of, I think the world is changing so fast, and we're going through a very delicate phase that when we talk about niche, when we talk about fine dining, or when we talk about a restaurant who specialize in experience, there is a pizzeria, there's trattoria, there's brasserie, there is many kind of, and we need all of this. Yeah, but but the world is changing, and the time is so precious. The time it's key, and how we can give the best time to client. No, and yes, when you are hungry, you are hungry. You want to eat, and you're satisfied, and you go. But there is also the other perspective that they want to a time off and enjoy, and there is also a time changing. How far you need to go to be the best, to give also clients or people a kind of experience upgrades, that inspiration, especially. Yeah, we have a lot of similarities of gastronomy, and I love to come back to CAAA, and when we create with this art gallery, mixology, food, all this music, especially. Yeah, best example last night.
Fantastic.
With Ben from Chicago. How crazy it is, how you feel. You know, it's all about feeling.
It's yesterday by you, it was a sense.
Yeah.
You know, your vision, it was on the plate, on the galleria, with the music. It was all together combined. It have a sense. No?
Yeah.
But if you don't give this sense, especially during this time, we have a lot of big change also in gastronomy, because if you are hungry, no, you have so many places. Sometimes, of course, corporative companies. Now you have a lot. Now, this middle gastronomy, step by step, is disappearing. No,
Yeah.
Step by step. That's why, if I am hungry, I go on the street food. No, amazing, I love it. But if I want experience, need to be.
Yeah. High level.
It's not like 10 years before. You just open aesthetics, beautiful plate,
No,
taste.
it's not anymore.
It's over. That's it, it's over. It's more, taste is always important, of course, but the philosophy, that's make the difference.
I read something about the trend goes into slow luxury, like the Belmont Group. The next 5 years, they're pushing a lot in slow luxury. I mean, it's very personalized. So people, you pay so much attention that we pay attention. How we pay attention here at CAAA, it is that every half an hour coming new guest. So we greeting them same every half hour. So they spend the same hour with us. So there is no preference. If one guy drinks, I say a Muto Rothschild, you pay more attention. It's not anymore this. No. Every table have the same attention, the same time of us, because it's this the luxury time. And they get this attention. There is never overcrowd, you know. So that's why we want to have every half an hour the guest at the bar, then in the gallery, then in the dining room, and we serving the plates and we explaining. And I think this is very, in this direction we go in aspect of hospitality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's I was wondering also the next global hotspot, I would say, where do you think, because you travel a lot, it's a rising hotspot probably, you know, when you go to South America or you go to Asia, you go to a new country, and because also we going, all the world is moving. What do you think, where is at the moment very interesting culturally, you know, when you travel around, or you was probably impressed the last time?
Depends where we are. For example, in Europe, the trend of socialist approach is no. We are more connected with luxury, no? But it's changing also in Europe, step by step. That's why I think the chefs from America Latina, at the moment they have the nice way to be socially inclusive, no? One example, I make you one example, is the restaurant CAAA in Cartagena in Colombia, the Jamel Rodriguez, amazing person, amazing team. When they have this approach, there is a la carte menu to share. No, the price is very accessible. You go inside this restaurant, no, you see from United States a lot young people from United States. Cool. Well, I have the brief, United States, Europe, but young people.
Yeah.
That's what we need. The young people. Yeah. We need to teach them. Yeah. No, not just go out from our roles.
No,
we go inside, we pay the best champagne. Or, okay, we need young people because now gastronomy is going in another dimension to teach the people, to redefine a new way to feed us, to feed the world. No, because for example, we have healthy food, but it's just for. We are lucky because we were for the best chef. We are lucky. We had almost always the best food, the best ingredients, healthy. No, we are lucky. But what's up next? No, in Yucatan we had Ferran Adrià. As a speaker, he was not a speaker, but become a speaker.
Naturally.
Naturally, become a speaker. And they say, okay, guys, it was other chef on the stage, younger than Ferran. I say, guys, okay, but it is, we have done 20 years ago, 30 years ago, sustainability. We have done everything. What are you doing now? He come to us. But we were not able in our period, time, era, to make this work for all the people around the world. This is the next goal, what we need to reach. I think this is the next, and it's also the mission of the best chef. One of the most important mission to open the door and let inside all the people in different form, in different way. You can have very, very top trattoria, brasserie, bistro with top client. Or, for example, no, we started with the best pizza. The best pizza, we love pizza, everybody love pizza, of course. But if pizza for us is the project which can help us to communicate to massive the philosophy, the importance of healthy food. This is pizza for us is this, no? No, it's the best, of course, marinara, margherita, we love, everybody love it. Of course. But to be massive in this philosophy, communication, to show how important it is to have healthy food, I think they need to have this food. They need. It's necessary.
Absolute. If you can bet the future, what will be the next bet? It will be tech. We're talking about sustainability, community. Where is the future going? We was talking a couple minutes ago about it's not changing the next 5 years. It's changing day by day. And also this is for us really challenging. I say difficult. I mean, it's difficult, but challenging. Also what's going on social media, the presence, we as chef, we need not only be, let's say, cooking amazing food, but we need to be entrepreneur, we need to be on social media, like also professionally, and but I'm wondering how, where is the next, you know, like the impact of tech, you know?
Depends on you, no? As all the chefs in this moment have the really challenging time, no? Because now we are going so fast, also in terms of so fast, okay? And we need to find the right compromise to put technology or intelligence artificiale, for example, inside our job because they help you. No, it's no enemy, but you need to be careful to take the control. They need to be just a support to your daily work. No, the dominant of your job, because we need humanity, no? We need humanity. For example, to take the technology. Now we were one of our partners. They make the fridge with solar energy, no? Solar panels. And you can bring this in Africa.
Fantastic.
Penso tu. You can bring this in Africa. It's nothing. For us, it's nothing. Every family of us have this fridge at home. But if you bring 10 fridge in Africa, they change a lot. They change everything. No, this is, I think, the chef, also the food industry, the mission, what we... Technology is good if it's at support. Okay?
It should be a tool.
Should be
a tool to work,
reach something.
How we build this place as well.
Exactly.
Bravo, only this.
As we build this place.
Of course, it's very important. The technology is very important. Now we have, we take the fish from the sea, it's super clean. We know the method, we know everything. No, this is important.
I agree. Innovation versus identity, you know, to get this identity things.
The same was the fire, no?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but as you said, I think that exactly nowadays we need to adapt so fast and keep up with all these new technologies, all new things, etc., that sometimes it's like overwhelming simply everyone, like exactly chefs, but not just chefs, everyone. So we need to be careful. As Cristian said, it should be a tool, but we need to keep this humanity and this part that is related to humanity still very present, because otherwise it won't work at the end of the day. So
I agree.
Very simple, for the goodness.
True. Now we also, in terms of the best chef, I think how I feel as a chef, you become very powerful as you doing or how you support the community, and it's all based on the owners, on you, and I can say for many chefs we are very grateful that you make this for us happen, and see also behind the kitchen, what's going on. As you say, many years or still today, the kitchen is closed. You know, you don't see always what's going on behind, or even behind what we're thinking of to be creating something nice and special. And I was curious if you also into as we so connect to bar, is in general bar also very interesting for you guys to see how it works, how it is, how it's as more and more people combine.
Don't try, we don't give you the premium.
The price.
No, come si, la notizia, com'è la notizia?
La notizia.
But it's very important.
It's integral part.
Like
beverages are integral
like
part.
It's important for us the service. We
True.
feel guilty
absolutely.
all the time because the guys in
service,
service, but why no?
Why no prizes for hours for service? Exactly.
But we have the best chef. Has blocked us a little
I'm
bit.
always laughing that we have to stick to chef.
Joanna will kill me, no? But I give you because you are a very nice guy. I will give you. Will be one prize for the service from this edition.
Fantastic. No, absolute. No, as you say, it's very important.
It's important. It's important.
It's important.
As well, bars. I mean, the beverage part is also.
It's coming more all this, to make alcoholic or non-alcoholic drinks. You need to think about a lot how to create. I can say what we serve here, we never serve cola. We never serve something like this. We have water. We have our non-alcoholic drinks. We have our cocktails. We have wine. That's it. In 2 years, no one asked something else. There was no question even, because we guide clients. We want to guide as much as possible the client to give them not that they not need to make a choice, because we make choice every day, and this is the most difficult. And if the day is too long, you are tired and you don't want to make in the evening again so many choices. So that's why we create this experience.
Because this is also the importance of fine dining experience. We started, for example, your meal, your dish or pasta. After you have the wine, you show which way you will love it. Also, if in terms of pairing, it was not the best. After you start with the pairing, you suggest the guest which could pass better with your menu, no? After on the bar with mixology, and it's becoming all together. We can't anymore separate, which is the experience. The service, the kitchen, the bar, it's all together.
It's like holistic thing.
Holistic
experience, that you have all the elements together at the end of the day. It's food and beverage. So as you said, there are a lot of new ideas right now. It's not just alcoholic pairing, it's not just wine pairing, but you have a lot of, tea pairings, non-alcoholic, exactly, mixology, as Cristian said. So you can play as well with those and guide exactly your guest what
we
to
teach them
exactly
in the same time.
The experience is thick.
And then you have full experience, like everything 360 degrees.
Yes. As I understood, we in Switzerland are not. We're only now coming slowly in. As I see in different countries, they are much more ahead. But even if Switzerland is quite modern, but I still see it's still very traditional, which makes for us a very hard time, as we are so much ahead when we build this place, and sometimes,
But then, as you said, exactly, it's a moment that you can teach people. It's obviously a longer process and maybe more tough for you.
They love it.
But exactly, you show them that tradition is very nice and perfect, but you can sometimes try something like more innovative or do something crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
we had some guests, they say, I feel like in London, I feel like in Paris. And this is the most cool compliment when we achieve this in Lucerne.
Look, the revolution was never made by the community. Only one person makes the revolution. That's why if you want to make a revolution, be ready. Will be not easier. But in the same time, your revolution, your vision, your revolution is very important, to take us in the future, to have some new techniques. But these conservative people, these traditional guardians are much more important because are preserving our identity, our culture, our tradition. If you ask to me Italy mentality, 10 years ago, I said, no, how we can go to Chinese? Now we are discussing about carbonara, onion, not onion, 2020, not 2010. But now, if you ask, I have a different answer. They need to be like it.
We need to keep balance.
Conserve because they are guardian of our history.
That's true.
After come the crazy guy, it changed a little bit,
but always remember about the past, and about the tradition. That's true. Kind of combination.
Combination.
It's always a pinch of
But
innovation.
they have a good life, and you have a challenging life.
But same as
That's
you
for
do.
sure.
But it's your choice. They don't say they make a revolution. No?
Yeah.
But same as you do as best chef. You did a revolution of it, and I think there are some kind of guys who say,
Oh, a lot.
Absolutely.
a lot, yeah.
A lot.
And I think you feel this, and I think
But this is the price, exactly. I would say that if you want to do something, I mean, change the things, then it has a price, I would say. I mean, it's not always nice, everyone is sympathetic, etc., etc. But it's a cost of, exactly, if you want to do something different, if you want to change something, it's rather tough process usually.
Because you are asking now, it's the start of if you ask 1 month before the event, we will answer you different.
Under stress and pressure, the answer will be a bit different.
A little bit different.
Never anymore, exactly.
Please don't do it.
Yeah.
wow.
No, joking.
How you choose a location when you have every year a ceremony, and this ultra beautiful to bring all this.
You
chef.
want to take us 1 month before the event now with mood. I can answer.
You can answer, yeah.
Allora, the first, I think 2 or 3 edition. See, the first 4 edition maybe. We asked by stories.
Yeah.
I mean, on
Where you
social
want
media.
in social media, where you want to go to.
Yeah.
And we even put a short list, no?
Yes, of course.
Amsterdam, Barcelona,
And we went there.
We went to Barcelona, no? To look at the location.
Of course,
This was wow. This was amazing. Today is different. Today
It's a bit
is
more complex.
very complex. Very complex, nice, because that means we have also much bigger impact than before.
Yeah.
But it's more Joanna job, I need to admit.
Yeah, it's more like, the event is much bigger than it was like first edition, so we need to be sure that everything is okay. I mean, that we can organize it in a proper way. So obviously it requires a lot of support from preferably governments, cities, regions, etc., etc. Obviously, we also need to check in terms of strategy that, for example, after years in Europe, in 2023, we went outside of the Europe to Mexico, to Yucatan. So it was first time out of Europe, then Dubai. So it was strategically also to be not just in one continent, but also to move and exactly gain more attention from those places. So, and obviously I would say that the place where we go needs to have something really special. Like every place where we went, the gastronomy, restaurants, fine dining, but also, for example, in case of Mexico, it was more tradition that like attracted us really, because we were impressed by the richness of tradition, traditional cuisine, etc., etc. So it needs to make sense where we go. It needs to be connected with gastronomy, with cuisine, chefs, etc., etc.
Wow. Yeah.
So the bigger difference is, for example, last year we had so many options. No? In Italy, very important city, also especially for me, I say, we were not able to do the event there because they don't have enough rooms, hotel rooms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there are some logistic.
I say to you, now we need to find
that it needs to be a place quite well connected, for example, exactly, because otherwise if
flights and so on.
Flights, accommodation, places to visit, places to go. So we need to, exactly, it's not anymore as it was first, I don't know, 3-4 editions. It needs to be more structurized, simply.
Yeah, the chef can fly and then next day fly
and
back.
Easy, exactly, because usually they have
hotels,
very busy
rooms,
schedules, exactly, enough hotel rooms. Yeah.
That's me. For it, this is in our job, daily job, is this minutes, you realize, wow, what we are doing. We go in so important city that they are not able to get, to host our event. No,
Wow, yeah.
but it's just 1 minute. We are very humble, but people very critical. Joanna, especially Joanna, why she stay looking the stage in the video. Look, I say, Joanna, stop it. Yeah,
I'm always like seeing after event a lot of things to be improved, etc., etc. So yeah, I'm rather perfectionist.
Nice. No, beautiful. No, I really want to say thank you that we can speak and have a look what's going on behind the best chef. And I always like to make this last question: what do you give to young generation, especially to people who want to be an entrepreneur in future? Like a little, I would say, advice, maybe a tip when they open their own business in hospitality. What you would love to give them as a message?
So my message would be, as we discussed it before, a bit of madness, a bit of craziness, but on solid basis, because without that you won't succeed. So you need to be prepared in terms of exactly what you want to do, how you want to do, and then simply do it and go with the flow.
Yes.
Do something crazy and really follow your goals, follow your dreams, but exactly with this back thing that you have, because you can improvise sometimes, but not always. It won't work if you want to do it like without any sense, without any plan. You have to have a bit of madness and a bit of pragmatism.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you so much. And I would say we are the end of this podcast.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Subscribe on Behind the Keys.
Behind the
watch
knives.
Behind the
Behind the
knives.
knives.
We
Today
need
is
to-
behind the
exactly.
knives.
Today is behind the knives.
Today is behind the knife.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank
Joanna.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Cristian.
you.
Thank you a lot.
Lovely.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.